Hey everybody, today I want to talk about the Glock versus the CZ. Which is best? Let's take a look. So the Glock pistol needs no introduction. Very popular here in America. It's actually from Austria originally, but they also make parts in Georgia. And what's to say? It's the standard for pistols these days. It's 65% of law enforcement, if I'm not mistaken, in America use it. You already know it. Caliber 9x19 NATO, weighs about 2 pounds, double action only. And of course, it's made of polymer. That's the big controversy. And I like it. It's a great gun, but it's not the only gun. And I want to compare it to the CZ75, which I feel is completely different with its steel frame and its 30% heavier single action, well actually double single action hammer. And it's from Czechoslovakia. I'm not even going to try and pronounce in Czech how to say its name. But you get the message. Completely different design. However, same caliber and very similar style of use. So which is better? Well, let's get into some areas here. First of all, field strip definitely goes to Glock. No doubt about it. Field stripping the Glock is the easiest thing in the freaking world. All you have to do is empty the chamber and empty the mag well. Pull the trigger in a safe direction. Pull back on the slide about 1/4 inch and then pull the little tabs in front down and then off comes the slide. Easy as could be. Now, it's not to say that the CZ's is terrible, but the Glock's is better. Field strip definitely goes to the Glock. I mean, look, in the time that I've spent talking about it, I've just done it. I mean, it's insanely easy. Cleaning the Glock is pretty dang easy for the most part. And the CZ, on the other hand, doesn't field strip that easy. So, you know, what can I say? Ease of carry definitely goes to Glock because, hell, it's 30% lighter. What do you expect? Not only is it 30% lighter, it's also a little bit thinner. The Glock is only about 1.13 inches wide, or at least that's the slide width. Whereas the CZ has these little levers and nubs and things. It's a little bit wider around the top. Durability, however, definitely goes to the CZ with its all-steel frame and the slide resting inside the frame. That is to say, the slide rails are like in the middle of the slide. It's so durable. I mean, you could beat this thing to hell and it would still work fine. It's going to be around for several lifetimes. Definitely CZ advantage for durability. The Glock is durable too, but the CZ is even more durable. It's just a steel frame, for God's sake. I mean, what can you say? This one's the stainless version. They also make it in blue, so you can take your pick. And you'll notice that it goes inside the frame, the slide does. It doesn't slide outside the frame, so this makes it more accurate. The Glock, on the other hand, I found that sometimes it gives me sissy primer strikes, which, I mean, I know that's a striker spring issue, but the CZ smacks primers a lot more than the Glock does. This is a Glock primer strike, and it's fine, it went off, but it's a little bit on the sissy side for my tastes. So advantage CZ on that one as well. Mags definitely advantage CZ. Not even close. The CZ mags are thinner. They're way easier to clean. The Glock mags are a freaking nightmare to clean. The Glock mags require like a C-clamp or something because it has these little retention nubs that are impossible to bypass without a tool, or borderline impossible, whereas a CZ mag doesn't. And I like the thinness of the CZ mag. It rides closer to you. It doesn't feel like it bounces as much. So here, this is what I'm talking about. Look at these tools here. You need all of these tools to clean a Glock mag. Whereas with a CZ mag, you just take the corner of another mag, push in the, retention plate or whatever it's called, and then pull the base plate off, and you can clean it. But the Glock mag is 1,000 times more of a pain in the ass. The trigger and the accuracy definitely goes to the CZ. It's not even close. The CZ can go in single action, which is how most people fire it, and it's so much crisper, lighter, and shorter than the Glock. It's also more consistent. The Glock is very spongy and it stacks. The CZ trigger does not stack, or barely. I can't even tell if it stacks. Doesn't even feel like it stacks. and it's just way more accurate. I mean, there's no comparison. The hammer makes all the difference. You know, people debate hammer fired versus striker fired. Personally, I've had much better experience with hammer fired guns. I fired a Beretta that was hammer fired, and it was also better than the Glock as far as accuracy goes. And I actually like the double to single transition because, you know, you can carry it double action, which is a little bit safer because it's longer and heavier. But, you know, if you're in a hurry, you don't need to worry about the safety. You just pull it and draw it. The Glock, on the other hand, requires all kinds of parts and crap to get the trigger even decent. Now, maybe I was just unlucky, but out of the box, my Glock trigger was retarded. It was seriously like 7.5 pounds, and it was spongy as hell. I had to put a new connector in, new trigger spring, new trigger, polish the internals, remove the firing pin safety plunger spring. And now it's decent. It's not good, it's decent after all of those mods. So as far as out-of-the-box trigger goes, it's not even close. The Glock trigger is one of the worst I've ever used on a major brand, whereas the CZ trigger is one of the best. The CZ trigger I found is second only to like a 1911. The Glock, on the other hand, like here you can see I'm shooting at 25 yards. Now, to be fair, it is really windy when I was shooting here, but I was landing about 10 hits out of 16 onto an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper from 25 yards, which is about normal for the average Glock user. People say, oh, I can do 3-inch groups. Well, yeah, from a rest and with no wind and taking 5 seconds to pull the trigger, you know, yeah, you can shoot reasonably accurate with a Glock, but not with any decent speed. If you fire with any decent speed, you're going to have very weak accuracy. And yeah, so you see here, I landed, I think it was about 10 out of 16. Fired a full mag, which for me is 16 because I don't load my Glock mags to 17. And yeah, I got 10 hits. In the upper right there, that's actually a ricochet. That's why it's sideways. But yeah, I'm honestly not that impressed with the Glock trigger at all. It's a great gun. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's wonderful in other ways, but the trigger is not anything to brag about. It's a great gun still. But for my purposes, the winner is the CZ75. Because for me, I don't mind a little bit of extra weight. I think they're both perfectly carryable. The Glock is easier to carry. I don't mind the extra weight, and I really love having a better trigger. The Glock trigger is very utilitarian, whereas the CZ trigger is crisp and sporty. So this is just my opinion. I love them both. They're both great guns. And, you know, do your homework, figure out what's best for you, and if you don't, you're probably a goddamn communist. All right, I'm out.